Good afternoon. I hope you've enjoyed your lunch and the extended break. If you enjoyed this morning, wait until you see what we have for you this afternoon. We have a great lineup from keynote speakers to a panel discussion, and I'm going to introduce the afternoon with talking a little bit about a subject that dear to my heart, about print and new magazine launches and stuff like that. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and start our afternoon. You know, one of the biggest challenges that I want you to think about is let's start thinking some reverse engineering here. Let's start thinking that print does not exist. I mean, and we live in a 100% digital age. And if print does not exist, then some of us have to actually create print. Because the year is 2014. There's no such thing as print. Everything is digital. We are surrounded. I mean, there's a new day on the horizon. Some guy sitting in some room trying to invent something called ink on paper. And here he comes with this device that does not need charging, allows an interaction you've never known before, no virtual touch, actual touch. Your fingers will click much faster and better than a mouse. You don't need to type a single thing. You are opening real pages. There's no cyber pages over there. And so if you want, and it's called print. Think about it. If you are such a person who loves to fish and somebody brings you an entity of 68 pages that will tell you everything you ever wanted to know about fishing, where to buy the best fishing poles, where are the best places for you to go fishing. And you don't need electricity, you don't need batteries, you don't need any of that stuff. And it's just called a magazine. Most probably your reaction is going to be like, wow, when did you invent this thing? Why did you wait so long until you invented a magazine? And look at what our friends at IKEA, they created something they call a book. Take a look. Besides looking at him, there should be a movie here.
You know, once in a while, something comes along that changes the way we live. A device so simple and intuitive, using it feels almost familiar. Introducing the 2015 IKEA catalog. It's not a digital book or an e-book. It's a book. The first thing to note is no cables, not even a power cable. The 2015 IKEA catalog comes fully charged and the battery life is eternal. The interface is 7.5 by 8 inches, but can expand to 15 by 8 inches. The navigation is based on tactile touch technology that you can actually feel. Content comes pre-installed via 328 high-definition pages of inspiring and furnishing ideas. To start browsing, simply touch and drag. Right to left to move forwards. Left to right to move backwards. Notice something else? That's right, no lag. Each crystal clear page loads instantaneously, no matter how fast you scroll. If you want to get a quick overview, just hold it in the palm of your hand and using just your thumb, speed browse the content. If you find something you want to save for later, you can simply bookmark it. And even if you close the application, you can easily find the bookmark again. Amazing. What about multiple users? For that, we've introduced a simple color coding system to avoid confusion. If you want to share a particularly inspiring item, you literally share it. Another special feature is password protection, which is voice activated. Excuse me, that's mine. At IKEA, we feel that technology this life enhancing should be in the hands of everyone. So the 2015 IKEA catalog is free. You can download one from your mailbox, the one you open with a key. If it's not there, try refresh the next day. Or you can upload yourself to the IKEA store and find one there. Experience the power of a bookbook.
amazing. So when I saw that, I figured, okay, how do we reinvent print? So I decided, okay, let me go to the highest place I can reach. I was in Cape Town. I went to the top of Table Mountain and asked the good Lord, I said, give me the 10 commandments to reinvent print. Well, needless to say, I waited until they shut down the tabletop and they said, you need to come down, and I didn't hear anything from the Lord. So I figured, okay, then I'll come up with my own ideas. And I figured, let me look at what did the movies do. I mean, when Godzilla came into being on May 16, I mean, they told us immediately that the movie is going to be on the theater. In 2 weeks, it's going to be in DVDs. You can go to your hotel room, you can order it. If you are on the plane, you can see it immediately. So the same content, the same form of excitement from the movie, we can access any place we want. So I figured, if the movies have their own Godzilla, the magazines should have their own Godzilla, somebody that, will bring the dinosaurs back. I mean, somebody that will bring the day the dinosaur ruled, and, as it happened, it was me. So let's take a look. So I figured our industry needs a Magzilla, and I'm changing my name from Mr. Magazine to Magzilla. And as Magzilla, I'm going to destroy all the platforms. We have to start rethinking the way we think about print. We have to reinvent not only printing, publishing, marketing, branding, you name it. And we have to make sure that each platform delivers what that platform has the priority for delivering. What's number one for that? And before anybody in this room here calls me a Luddite, I mean, I am digitally wired. I mean, I have more digital devices on me as I'm speaking and looking at than most of you probably. But the same token, when my dad brought television to our household in 1961, he never referred to it as radio with pictures. He never referred, and so that's why I wonder, why do we call our magazines digital replicas or digital magazines? Do you ever remember the day we referred to a magazine as, oh yeah, this is an ink on paper publication? It was a magazine. Let's respect that, and let's start really thinking that, yes, we do live in a digital age, but digital never killed analog. I mean, just look at your own hands and see how many of you are wearing a digital watch and how many of you are wearing an analog watch. I mean, analog is still there, thriving, making a lot of money, and by the way, it's much more expensive than any digital watch you can ever buy. So the two are living happily ever after, which really takes us to the 2008. I mean, and the reason I bring 2008 is as we've seen with the circulation monitor and as we've seen with the information from the press link from the French. I mean, 2008, 2009 was a pivotal year in our industry. And what happened in that year? One, the economy busted. I mean, the American magazine business model, as we know it, went into a coma. I mean, the entire economy it's the worst year since we've seen in a long, long time. And the technology burst on the scene. So you had two things happening. You have the iPhone capturing the smartphone market business, and you have all these new digital devices arriving on the marketplace. So what do? I mean, media publishers were confused. You had those double whammy hitting them. Economy busting, technology bursting. So the choice was which one should I pick? Is it the economy? Is it the digital? And all of a sudden, we start siding with the technology, and the print is dead marched on. We had a big, huge band singing the death of print, playing the death march and going on. And if you really think about it, you had something called economy, which to me is like an old, ugly man, old, and you have something called digital, which is a seductive, beautiful mistress. I mean, which one are you going to go out with? I mean, it does not take a genius to side out with the seductive mistress called digital, start spending money on her, start with a one-night stand, change to a love affair, then start robbing money from our faithful spouse, print, and spend on our mistress. And we kept doing that until we reached the day we're saying gee, where's the money? I mean, why am I spending 95% of my budget to make 5% of my revenue? Why can't I treat digital like my sister, my cousin, a relative, rather than that seductive mistress? And, the mistress ran away. We start seeing and the light at the end of the tunnel, and in some cases, it was the train coming. It killed a lot of print entities until 2014. We have a new affair. We have a new affair with the industry. We have a new affair with magazines, with newspapers. Magazine advertising started to return to a growth rate, even pre-2008 rates in some categories. I challenge any one of you that if you've seen last year a single article about the death of print, let me see it. I didn't see any. Publishers have learned, and if you've noticed today even, we've heard it several times, they changed the word death of print to decline of print. It's a major step in the right direction. And then, of course, digital started to discover and court print as a major source of revenue, but failed to bring revenues on its own. A new dawn of media have started, and we are seeing a reversal of fortune. We are seeing some of the largest magazine issues in the United States in their entire history. We're not talking about pre-2008. InStyle, their 20th anniversary issue, was the largest magazine ever published by InStyle. The 3 magazines from Hearst, they were sold in a box, which was 4.5 kilograms of ink on paper magazines. 3 magazines in a box in the stores. Every magazine you look at have published their largest issue ever since they start publishing. And some of these magazines are 80 and 90 and 100 years old. So when people tell you, like, is it really the new dawn of print? And that's what I tried to ask our speakers today in the morning session. You know, this is a new dawn of communication. If you are not intrigued with everything that's happening today, you don't need to be here. I mean, if you are not excited about the challenges that are facing us, you don't need to be here. Because finally, it took us 5 years to reach this point where print and digital are living hand in hand. But at the same time, to each his own, to each one of those entities, its own. Let's take a look at the numbers. We have in the United States, you've seen the numbers from the French, you've seen the numbers from the Circulation Monitor. We have in the United States more than 17,000 print titles. That includes consumer, which is 9,000, and B2B. There's 12,000 apps in the Apple Store trying to pretend that they are magazines or trying to show you that, you know, there's something there. So if you think we have too many magazines in print, if you think print is a jungle, then the Apple Store is the Amazon of all jungles. How are you going to find all these titles? In the first 9 months, until the end of August, of 8 months of 2014, we had 580 new magazines launched in the United States. 164 of them were published with a regular frequency. The others were special interest publications. This is the statistics that I really want you to pay attention to, because this is the first time ever since I started tracking magazines in the United States, from 1978 until today. The survival rate of new magazines that were published in 2012 until 2013 is 85%. That figure was never higher than 65 or 70%. More magazines are coming to the marketplace. More of the new magazines are staying in the marketplace. And this is the newest launch. I mean, you don't think we use technology? I mean, have you ever thought about publishing a Sexy Selfies first edition? This is probably will win the prize as the ugliest, most awful, horrifying new magazine launch in the country. And then you have, of course, Fresh Quilt, Sesame Street came back, The Good Life, Dr. Oz. The Good Life is the first magazine since Oprah magazine was launched that had to go to a second printing in the United States after the first issue was on the marketplace. You have a magazine for naked food because you're sick and tired of eating all that food that has clothes on it. So here's the naked food magazine. You have Puppies 101. You have D-Day, who had its shares of magazines. Then you have the cupcakes, the food, and the cake mix. So you need 3 titles to know how to make cupcakes instead of the old traditional way of just like whipping some cupcakes here or there. Digital Inspirations, 12B. Let's Panic is the most expensive magazine I've ever bought. Let's Panic cover price is $60 for 1 issue, not for a subscription. You had Willow and Sage, and then digital is discovering print. I mean, digital, all of a sudden, the folks at Net-a-Porter said, you know, how can I call myself a multimedia company and I don't have a print edition? So they came up with Porter Magazine. Newsweek did the same thing. Meredith with All Recipes. They said, you know, we bought allrecipes.com, but how can we really make money? In less than a year, All Recipes magazine now is selling almost 1 million copies, 900,000 subscribers, and it was nothing but a digital entity. And the same is all over the world. I mean, it's my travels this year. I was able to collect more than 100 new magazine launches from Germany, from Latvia, from the Netherlands, from Finland, from France, wherever I am. I mean, the first thing that I do, you know, a lot of people go and ask, like, where's the best museum? How do you say hi? How do you say this in this language? The question I ask my visitors wherever I arrive, what's the meaning of the word new? And then please take me to the newsstand. And I start hunting on the newsstands, like to find where's that word new. I mean, whether it is in the Netherlands, whether it is in South Africa, whether it is in Germany, you name it. These are all new titles that have arrived on the marketplace just this year, just in 2014, from all over the place, covering every single title you can imagine. I mean, the variety and the beauty of these things. I mean, even a Woof Woof magazine, and you know what the Woof Woof magazine is all about, to the history, the Pope has 2 weekly magazines published in Italy, devoted to the activities of the Pope on every single week. So when you think we are running out of ideas, think twice. There's nothing wrong in redoing ideas, or going back to the retro days and giving stuff from the old days. You have to remember one thing that's so important for new magazine launches, whether they are history, whether they're about New York, or whether it's just like, oops, a love story. You have to remember one thing. We have to look at our audience. We have to study and find out as much as we can who are our people. Because print advertising in the United States had an average of 55% from the magazine media, higher than the estimated forecast by 3%. Digital was lower than the estimated forecast. The competition is going to be tougher. There's no question about it. We have to learn to compete, and we have to learn to complement. Here's some statistics from my friends at Magnet. The average store sells 400 different magazines at any given time, which means there are 400 interactive faces, covers of magazines, looking at you, trying to grab your attention and say, pick me up. On a per-store basis, the top 10 titles that sell under $5 are regional titles. The United States is a big country. It's not, I mean, contrary to the belief that celebrities, it is the regional titles that sell on a per-issue basis. The titles with a cover price of over 10% represent almost 20% of all magazines sold. Cover prices are getting more and more and more expensive. Also from Magnet, the national blended cover price all over is $5. The Home and Garden and all the specialty titles, $7.52, and the Super Center, the magazine you buy it's like $4.11. Rural areas, $4.52. That's almost double what it used to be just 10 years ago, the prices. Outdoor magazines are seeing one of their best times, whether it is preparing you for the doom and gloom of the end of the world, or whether you are just going to go for a trip in the woods, or trying to survive and be ready for the end. The food titles, which is by the way, the largest category now in the United States in terms of new magazines, food magazines, gluten-free is now the king of the newsstands. I mean, anything, just add the word gluten-free, and boom, you have a magazine selling on the newsstands. And again, here are from Magnet, the top trending celebrities in the US. I mean, of course, like, I almost said King George, but Prince George, and then the Kardashians, and the One Direction, and you name it, it's taking place. So what does that mean? It means that although our numbers are down, although people are only spending 15 minutes with a magazine and 21 minutes with a newspaper, compare that to how much time they are spending on digital. And these are not my numbers. This is ComScore. People are spending 1.1 minute a day on a newspaper digital media site. I mean, you may be the smartest, most genius person in the world. How much can you learn in 1.1 minute on a website? So keep that in mind. So when you have a magazine like for years and years with a circulation of 3 million, and you start wondering, all of a sudden they are telling you they have 25 million unique visitors. What happened? Where were those people before? Were they just borrowing the magazine from each other and pass along readership? Same thing is happening with the New York Times. So please, I mean, be careful with the numbers, especially the statistics. Anytime anybody gives you statistics, ask for real numbers. I mean, the best example I can give you is like one of the chewing gum companies went and met with 3 dentists in the United States. 3, 1, 2, 3. They told them, we are going to give you free chewing gum for the rest of the year to give to your patients. 2 out of the 3 said, we will do it. We will give it to the patients. What is the ad is saying? 2 out of 3 dentists recommend Trident for their patients. It's a true statement. 2 out of 3 said, yes, we'll do it. So remember, there are lies, damn lies, and statistics. Always ask for the real numbers. So to me, I mean, this is the new dawn. This is we are starting a brand new dawn, and I want you to look at some success stories. I mean, all these things, all recipes, Style, Porter, Food Network, HGTV, Dr. Oz, Recoil, the new Newsweek. These are all stuff less than 5 years old, making a lot of money in a print/digital age. And we can talk about failure, but who cares? I mean, once you're dead, nobody remembers. You just forget about failures. So let's go back to our question. Why should anyone be interested, intrigued in media today? And how can we do that? 4 simple things. Know your audience, all of your audience. Free yourself from the platform. And thanks, Franska, for using that line from my presentation. Become an experience and not a guide, and create a necessary, sufficient, and relevant product. Because our biggest competitors are time and attention span. This is what we are competing against, the time and the attention span. And regardless where you live. So what you have to do to know your audience, you have to start knowing what they want. Nobody needs you. We have to change that want to a need. If you drink 1 glass of vodka a day, it's okay. But then the first day you drink 1, the second day you drink 2, the third day you drink 3. By the end of the week, you are dependent on vodka. Guess what? It's no longer a want. It becomes a need. How can you be the chief addicted officer at your publication that people will come to the newsstand, will go to your mailbox to get that magazine over and over? We need chief addiction officers in our business. We need, we are not just in the content delivery business. If we are pure content providers, we're dead. We have to be much more than content providers. We have to be knowing what to dispense, the chief drug dispenser. We have to make our audience addicted, good drugs, good addictions, and find what are those seeds of addiction. I mean, tell the retailers, why would this magazine sell more than that magazine if I don't know exactly what are the ingredients I'm going to have? So to me, you have to free yourself from the platform, but you have also to understand the platform. The pre-Platonic Greek philosophers, Parmenides said, the only thing that's permanent is if it's there, if you can get rid of it. And while his counterpart, Hercules, said the only thing that's permanent is change, because you can never cross the same river twice. So to me, in this sea of change and permanency, we create for print is permanent. Whatever we create for print is permanent. What we create for digital is ever changing. In print, there's value, monetary value. I still wish I have the first issue of Superman that was published in the United States. It was 10 cents. It sold recently for $2.14 million. But I still have the first digital printer I bought for $10,000 in 1984. It's $19 at Walmart, from $10,000 to 19. If you can name a digital device that you have that have increased in value, let me know. So as I mentioned, we create for print, it's permanent. We have to create that permanency in the platform. That's why I said your magazine cannot be just a content delivery. It has to be a brand experience, not only for you, but also for your audience. And that's why I said our role as makers of magazines, as developers of brand, we have to be curator of content. Curator, not just creator. Curator of content. We have to select the drugs. based on what our audience. We have to be creators of solutions. We have to write the prescription for that audience. And we have to be, above all, be experience makers. We have to create the dependency. We have to make sure that our audience is going to be dependent on us. So the magazine of the future is the one that's going to reach the hearts, minds, souls, and pocketbooks of your customers. And as a sidebar here, I mean, if you create a great magazine for the audience, you are going to be creating a great magazine for the advertisers. The two go hand in hand. So to me, every magazine should have, every company, in addition to the chief drug dispenser, a chief dream officer, a chief execution officer, and a chief distribution officer. Because if you are going to make print and digital platform the chief seduction officer to create a relationship, I mean, nobody wants to have a relationship with ink on paper or pixels on a screen. They want to have a relationship with a human. Whether that relationship is a one-night stand, a love affair, or a long-lasting relationship, it has to be humanized to create that experience. You want to find humans who you've changed their want to a need. So as I said earlier, nobody wants virtual stuff, but in the same time, the experience that you are going to create must be necessary, sufficient, and relevant. And if we can do that, then we are creating experiences that will lead to relationships, relationships that will become addictives, addictions that will bring satisfaction, and thus, I believe that digital is not leaving us. But you need to know what role can print play, because print is not leaving us again, ever. And to me, as human beings, as long as we have human beings, we are going to have print. I mean, there's no question in my mind. And that's why, I mean, I'm so glad to see like people are now using the word decline instead of death, because 5 years from now, everybody is going to say like the thriving environment of print in a digital age and how we are doing it. And that's why, I mean, to me, print needs to become the future of digital begins with print, because that's the way the title actually for my next X experience in Oxford, October 7 to 10, is the future of digital begins with print. And you don't have to take my word for it, because I actually put my money where my mouth is. Just take a look. Welcome to the Act 5 experience. The Amplify, Clarify, and Testify about the future of print in a digital age is an experience that's held annually at the Magazine Innovation Center at the University of Mississippi. This year, our theme is the future of digital begins with print. I hope that you will enjoy it and you'll have fun at this experience. Because after all, print, have no fear. Super Samir is here. Thank you very much.